Hello and welcome to the Chimp channel. If you're new to the world of Deep Rock Galactic, a warm rock and stone to you, and if not, rock and stone brothers and sisters. Funday Games just released Deep Rock Galactic Survivors, and I've really been sinking my teeth into it, and I just want to talk about it, so here we go. So to start with, the game's released in early access on Steam. If you've been buying games on the platform long enough, you may or may not have a negative opinion on early access or not, depending on whether you've been burned by it or not. For me, I usually stay away from early access after being burned a couple of times, but the main one ruining my trust being Goddess is like a little city builder RTS thing, if you remember that one. But however, we're not dealing with any random run-of-the-mill small dev here. These guys have toiled away in the mines just like you and I, desperately trying to figure out the difference between rocks and stones. When will R&D solve this problem? We may never know. Anyway, Deep Rock Galactic Survivors is a fully functional and complete game, at least in terms of the game itself being built. I'm sure there's a more technical word for that, but I'm just a monkey after all. The only bug I've been affected by, or affected by enough to notice, was one that caused the upgrade selection screen to stay on screen, preventing me from moving and forcing me to watch my turrets slowly get overwhelmed by bugs, and my sweet engineer was torn apart limb from limb. And it was a pretty good run too, which was sad, but I only experienced this once in 16 hours of gameplay, hence why I'd say Deep Rock Galactic Survivor is a functionally complete game, but not a content complete game, which we'll get into in a bit, but for that price tag, I'm hardly complaining. What about the content and gameplay though? So, you might have heard of this other game called Vampire Survivors. You may have even played it, which is a pretty wild thought. I haven't though, so going into this was my first time stepping into this auto-battler genre. Besides knowing that Vampire Survivors was partially the inspiration for this game, I had no ideas on what a game like this should be like. So my comparisons will end there, because as far as I know, they are only comparable in the sense that they are both auto-battlers, and that a vampire will suck their victim's blood dry, just like these dwarves won't stop sucking Hoxie's dry, like Nestle destroying the rainforests. Ooh, please don't come after me. So an auto-battler then. And it's a roguelite with random power-ups? Wowee, yeah. So, as you go through the game, all of the fighting is done automatically with various types of guns and power-ups that you get to choose from as you level up during the missions. The roguelite element of this being that all these levels, weapons and stat boosts are lost when you die or after finishing the mission, and then you start over. But leveling up weapons a certain amount on a mission will unlock permanent overclocks for these weapons that you can randomly choose from in your future missions. Also, outside of the missions, there's another set of upgrades you can buy using credits and materials that you find on the missions. These upgrade everything from your damage to your luck stat. So I said earlier that Deep Rock Galactic Survivors is a functionally complete game, but not a content complete game. And by that I mean that as it is now, Deep Rock Galactic Survivors has these little quests to complete during missions, usually leveling up a class or a weapon a certain amount in a mission, or picking up some kind of resource like the ores you mine. I like these, and they're a nice challenge to complete on a mission instead of just mindlessly smorking the enemies with whatever kind of war crime weapon you can concoct with the blessings of Dwarven RNGesus. Completing these smaller quests gives you tokens that add up, allowing you to unlock higher difficulties. You can get 3 of these tokens per hazard level just being a metric of difficulty. And on top of that, there are currently 3 zones: the Crystal Caves, Magma Caverns, and the Land of Pain, or officially known as the Hollow Bow. This is all good, this is all fine, but the dives you embark on are always the same, but they are always functionally exactly the same. Or, at least they have been so far in my playtime. Again, I've only played about 16 hours. The loop is, fight swarms, level up, collect minerals, and upgrade your character and weapons, but not necessarily in that order. This all culminates in hunting and killing a Glyphid Dreadnought, or dying trying. I'm going to talk about this bastard a little bit later, but yeah, as of right now, there isn't too much variety in what you're doing. This doesn't disappoint me though, especially for the great price to value amount that I mentioned at the start, and if anything, it's left me excited for more when they do eventually roll out updates. Also, in the missions, there's these little side quests that reward you with extra gold and experience. There isn't much to them, Usually it's just picking up some flowers or mushrooms, or mining some morkite. Careful with the morkite though, these pretty rocks take a while to mine, and my giblets have been stolen so many times trying to get the ore, just get that last bit of juice out, and then I get torn apart. So like in regular Deep Rock Galactic, you've got 4 classes that you can choose from: Scout, Gunner, Driller, and my sweet son, the Engineer. Each one has its differences from the other, but they all complete the same goal, just in various different ways. The weapons and tools they have access to also vary from class to class, and a few of them are shared between them. I'll run through them now in the order that you unlock them. The Scout is, in my opinion, the most simple of the classes, but don't let that discredit him though. He is more simple than the others, but still has access to a lot of tools to bring death and destruction to the bugs that simply just want to live their lives, which is too bad because they shouldn't live on such a sweet mineral-rich planet, the idiots. I personally like to stack as much electric damage as possible and watch as my boomerang, no, not that boomerang, bonks them all to death. The Scout tends to have more access to weapons that shoot automatically in all directions. Playing him, you'll mainly be focusing on where you're going and what you're mining. Next, the Gunner. Big dwarf with big gun. No time to talk. Must vomit many bullet straight out of face. Have you ever wanted to baby bird bullets into a horde of smaller creatures' mouths? Oof, I actually wrote that one down, okay. Gunner is the class I have the least time played on, and to me, personally, is the least interesting. Gunner mains don't come after me. My time was mostly on this part of the Gunner gameplay, the basic minigun, but even then, I'm still able to derive satisfaction from this. A lot of my time was spent standing still and letting the bullets do the talking. Next is the Driller. My god, is he a hungry boy. The other classes have nothing on his mining speed, and he will carve through rock, stone, and ore like a 1000 degree C hot knife through my hopes and dreams to be more than 4 feet tall. Remember that trend? We should definitely bring that one back. The Driller is as close as you can get to a melee class. Not that any can melee damage the Glyphids, but the Driller has access to short-range flamethrowers, acid sprayers, and so on. Last, my sweet child, the Engineer. The Engineer has fewer overall weapons to choose from than the others, but he has constructs, turrets, flamethrower turrets, and these little UFO boys that pee lightning. My favourite is to upgrade the turrets to follow you, so you get this small army of tanks that are kinda cute, but they also spew forth bullets wreathed in electricity. It's cool. The constructs will do most of the work though, while you focus on gathering resources and trying not to die. And now we come on to the Terminals. No, that's not right. Wrong game. Glyphids, the bugs, the backstreet boys of Hoxies. We have a few shapes and sizes, going from a small boy all the way up to the biggest of boys, and even some that float down. Let me know if you get that one in the comments. That's a real out there reference. Besides the flying Mactera, they all do varying levels of the same thing, so I'm going to lump them together and then roll them off pretty quick, since we're already getting pretty long here. There's the Grunts, Slashers, and Praetorians, which are just different sizes of enemy that walk towards you, dealing damage to match their size if they touch you. Except for the spitters that want to, well, spit on you, or in your mouth if you're into that. And you can't forget the Mactera too. The small versions of these guys just kind of fly in straight lines across the map, something to avoid more than to kill. All of these have a stronger form, which you can see by a small size increase and a health bar on their little heads. Basically, just faster and more damage. But from there up are the elite enemies that spawn periodically during a level. Elites act essentially the same, but are even faster and do way more damage. They can easily catch you out if you aren't careful, or if your hubris gets the better of you when you try to squeeze out that last bit of morkite. Next is my favourite though, and I'm sure the favourite of other people's too, the Bomber. This one is not a friend of the Glyphids, nor you. He is an agent of chaos whose only goal is to spread fiery explosions no matter the cost. They can be easily baited into these massive chained reactions to wipe out entire swarms of the bugs. That is why I love them. They are basically an extra weapon for you to use. Last is the Dreadnought, who serves as the boss of the dive. The undisputed heavyweight bug boy. Don't let his size and sluggishness fool you though, because if it closes the gap, and my god, can it close the gap? It can and will take your giblets from you by force. So, Deep Rock Galactic Survivors, a satisfying smorgasbord of simple satisfaction. The game has a long way to go, but I am looking forward to seeing what they add to the game next. I'll even pay for expansions, Funday Games. I'm ready to simp for you. I have been for a while. Hopefully this leads into a whole expanded world of Deep Rock Galactic games too. Personally, I'd love to see an ARPG, you know, Diablo style, but with our sweet sexy dwarves. Anyway, thank you for getting this far into the video. If you're feeling cheeky, maybe send a like and a subscribe my way, maybe even a comment. I'm always looking for feedback, even if you're mean about it. I could take it, I swear. It goes a long way in making me feel good about myself, and I'll smell you later.